Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here. Now be sure to watch Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV by subscribing on YouTube and following them on social media for all the latest Leicester City news and information. Come on you foxes!
Strap yourself in because we're set up, switched on and ready to go. You are watching and listening to Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and your favourite podcasts. Leicester Till I Die TV, your first choice for everything Leicester City. Tune in and join in now.
Are you ready? I'm saying, are you ready?
Eight, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening, fellow Fox fans. How are we feeling? Better, I hope. But look, 2 games in. Let's not get too worried, eh? Maybe after Norwich, depending what we do against them. But hey, no, we are only 2 games in. It's Leicester Till I Die TV. Good evening. We are live on Facebook, Leicester Till I Die, the group, Twitter at Leicester TID, and on Facebook, on YouTube, Facebook. Let me get my teeth in and start that again. On YouTube, Leicester Till I Die TV. And if you are going over to Facebook or you haven't yet, please nip over and subscribe. I'm not saying I'm nervous at all. We've got a special guest on this evening who's going to talk to us all about his career following Leicester City.
On YouTube and your favourite podcast platform, this is Leicester Till I Die TV in conversation with
talkSPORT's Geoff Peters. Good evening, Geoff.
Good evening. That's all very dramatic, isn't it?
It gives me a chance to get my teeth in. Yeah, I cleaned them this morning. Can't do a thing with them. How the devil are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, obviously, didn't really enjoy the game the other night, but these things happen. But it's great to have fans back in grounds, and just loving having that feeling when a goal is scored or when something major happens in a game. We've really missed that. Obviously, I've been very fortunate to be in grounds during periods of lockdown and covering games all over the country, and it felt like a training exercise most of the time. I know people watch it at home and the effects are piped in, and when you're actually there, it's not great. So very, very lucky to be doing that, but once you've got the fans back in, it just changes the dynamic of the game completely, and it's brilliant. They've been starved of games for a long period of time now, but they're getting back in the grounds, and it just feels like football is back.
Yeah. It's back, but it didn't quite come home. But
no.
I must admit, I watched. I actually watched one game without the sort of sound effects on, and like you said, it was like a training match. And every game after that, I had to have the effects on to make it sound like the crowd were there. But even hearing booing, when ex-players come on, it's still great to have those crowds back.
Yeah, I think that the first game I did was, I think it was June last year. I went to Norwich to do a no, sorry, it was last year, June last year. So it was the tail end of the previous season. So Norwich were just about to get relegated from the Premier League, and I think it was Norwich Palace. I think was the game.
Not the most exciting game for you then.
No, but listen, football is football. Game is a game. It doesn't matter where I go. I'm happy to be. I'm very lucky to be paid to be watching football. And people kind of, when they see me at Derby or Forest or Cov or wherever it is, they go, "Oh, poor you," and I think, I'm getting paid to watch football. This is great. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So at Norwich, that first game back, and everybody was on tenterhooks about COVID, obviously, and not getting too near each other and touching elbows and masks. Everything was all very, and that first game just felt wrong. It just was a really bizarre experience. But then, over time, what you found, there were more backroom type staff and maybe directors allowed into grounds, and you started getting them creating some noise to add to it. I think the Leeds contingent at Leicester last season, they were these obviously they were fans, but not fans. And they were, I found them a little bit annoying actually, because but their team won and they deserved to win, and they did a real job on us, and that was one of the performances. It was a very poor performance from Leicester, and they just got done like Monday night against West Ham. And I know we were just chatting before we came on, and said Leicester have got it in the locker that they can throw in a performance like that. But to be honest, pretty much every team can. So we're nothing special in that.
No. And you pinched one of my lines there, because I was going to say how jealous we all are of you as football fans, that you do get paid to go and watch matches and then talk about football. It's like, kids don't grow up these days wanting to be a train driver. They grow up wanting to be a football pundit.
Yeah, it's something that I always was interested in as a kid. I don't know why. My parents are not involved in it in any way, shape, or form. My dad worked in an office. My mum, she sort of worked in an office as well. There was no real career path that I saw from them that I wanted to follow. But for just some reason, I was addicted as a kid listening to the radio, and particularly those. I think it would have been Radio 2 on medium wave, those European nights. So as a kid, and this is no exclusive. This is no secret. I've talked about this many times. As a kid, first team that I fell in love with was Liverpool, because they were the big team. They were successful. They were the team that I read about in Match magazine. There weren't many games on the TV. Leicester would have been sort of second division, first division kind of late 70s, early 80s. So I went down to Leicester. My first game was 1981. My dad took me down there when I was 7. But there was never any. My dad he wasn't a brainwasher. He was very much that you make your own decisions. You make your own. Obviously, as kids, you have to have people make decisions for you. But when it came to that, he never. So through my childhood, there's no photos of me in Leicester shirts. It's just in like Liverpool replica shirts, which I don't know how my parents found the money to buy it, because we didn't have very much money at all. But I'm very lucky if it's a birthday present or a Christmas present. But I love the football, and I listen to those European nights with, say, Liverpool playing in, I don't know, Finland or whatever. And you listen to those crackly lines, the commentaries. It just fascinated me, and I used to listen to Radio Leicester. If I wasn't going to a Leicester game, I would listen to it as a kid. It just fascinated me enormously. And then one day when I was 10 and I was at Dame Mill Primary School at Enderby, I said to the football teacher, or my class teacher was also the football teacher, and I was in the school football team, can I have a go at writing the match report, which he used to do every week? Yeah. And bizarrely, strangely, ridiculously, he said, yes, go on then. He said, but if you do it, you've also got to read it out in front of everyone in assembly, which I suspect he probably thought, well, that'll be the deal breaker and what
put you off, yes.
And apparently I went, yeah, okay. So we played Glen Hills. I think it was 1-1. I mean, I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, but I can remember stuff like that. And I wrote the report. I think I typed it on my mum's old typewriter. If there's any younger people listening, it's like a computer keyboard, but not as intelligent. And the old-fashioned, yes. And then I did it, and I was just interested in it. And then when I was 12, I went down to I was at Grace Road at the cricket, and I spoke to John Rawling, who was the head of sport at Radio Leicester, and said, "Do you want someone to do the cricket scores for you? You know, all the who's faced how many balls, that kind of thing." Yeah. And he said yes. And then the following year, when I was 13, so that's all coming up next month, will be 35 years ago. So I'd have been 13, and he said, "Do you want to come to Saturday afternoon? Be like Saturday tea boy and work behind the scenes?" And that was amazing. And they paid me a £5 as well for going in on a Saturday.
In those days, that was a lot.
Well, when you're 13 and you're getting a check at the end of the month for 20, 25 quid, that is mind-blowing money.
Yes.
I'd have done it for nothing. The experience was just amazing. I worked with some great people over that period of time. So John Rawling, BBC Athletics correspondent, boxing he's done. Ian Carter, BBC golf correspondent now, brilliant broadcaster. Jonathan Agnew, BBC cricket correspondent. Nick Mullins, commentator on BT Sport on the rugby. Who else was there? Manish Bhasin, a bit further down the line. He started working there. Andy Barwell does a lot of national broadcasting. Steve May as well. There's so many, and lots of Leicester fans who've gone on to have fantastic careers in the media. I'm sort of really proud that I know them and I got to work with them and learn from them. I was just an anorak as a kid. I just, for some reason, loved radio, wanted to get into it, wanted to be a broadcaster, wanted to be a journalist, wanted to be a DJ as well. And somehow, I'm still broadcasting, doing football now, and I'm still DJing 2-3 nights a week now. Lockdown is over. So I can't quite fathom out how I've managed to blag it and wing it for such a long period of time. But at some point, somebody will tap me on the shoulder and say, "Your time's up. You've had a good run." And I'll go, "Do you know what? A fantastic run. This has been just an absolute joy." So I enjoy every moment of it, because one day it won't be there anymore. And I'm blessed and very lucky to do something that I absolutely love.
Yeah, I mean, you like you said, you at BBC Radio Leicester, and obviously you cover the Leicester matches. At talkSPORT now, do they avoid giving you the Leicester matches, or do you ask for the Leicester matches?
No, I mean, I my boss actually now is a Leicester fan, Jason Bourne.
Jason Bourne,
the football editor, and I've known him obviously a long time, top guy. Yeah. So generally, if Leicester are at home and it isn't a commentary game for us, then I will be asked if I want to go there. So I generally will go there. So if it's a Saturday 3 p.m. game or maybe a Sunday afternoon game, the chances are I will get asked to do Leicester. If it's a commentary game, then they send a commentary team and I go somewhere else, which is fine, So I don't see all the games, but I could have gone to Norwich this weekend and done that, but I'm at Villa instead for logistical reasons this weekend. It sort of suits me being in the Midlands. I love when I see the team, but I don't cry if I'm not there. So home games, more often than not, it's me there. Sometimes I'll see us away over the years at various different places. I've seen us, all over the place. But so I don't get a say in it, but I can perhaps say, could I be Midlands based this weekend, or if you want to send me to Newcastle, I'll go to Newcastle this weekend. It depends. I'm kind of happy to go anywhere. And as I said earlier, when people go, "Oh, you're at Derby or Forest or Cov or Villa or Reading or whatever it is," it's a game of football, and I'm
football, isn't it? Yes.
And so, while I would love to be watching my team, I'm also, I broadcast, quote, professional. So I have my professional hat on. I have work to do. I have a job to do. I didn't go to the Community Shield. Because obviously the football season, it was the first day of the Football League season, and I was at Derby against Huddersfield.
Right.
Had that clash with the FA Cup final, then that might have been slightly different, because the FA Cup.
You went to the FA Cup final, though, did you?
I did. I wasn't working because of obviously there was a lot of COVID restrictions, and there was only 20,000 in the ground, and the media were only allowed a certain number of seats per organisation, and our allocation once you've got a presenter and a commentator and a couple of pundits and an engineer and a producer, then there was no space for me. So I had to try and because I'm not a season ticket holder, because obviously I'm working. I mean, I could choose not to work when there are football matches on, but as a football broadcaster, that would be a bit daft. So I had no chance of getting tickets that way. And then I just had to, I had to use my initiative, put it that way. And I managed to get a couple of tickets via one of the sponsors. So we were in the second tier, but we were at the Chelsea end. So it was all neutral. We couldn't wear Leicester colours. My mate had his Leicester scarf taken off him. So there was nobody in shirts. Although what we should have done was wear the shirts, but then just wear a jacket over the top of it and then take it off later on. So we were at the other end. So we had kind of quite a sort of a bad view, but a very good view of Tielemans' goal. And I've replayed it in my head many times since then. And the moment me and my best mate Phil, how we jumped up and hugged and screamed and shouted, and there was probably half a dozen other people celebrating. That was it at that end. The Leicester fans made so much noise that day, and we were above the Chelsea fans, so we could hear the Chelsea fans very easily. But the noise, the wall of noise coming from the Leicester fans was just incredible. It was so impressive. So I was very lucky to be able to get a ticket to go in there and be with my best mate and see a wonder goal from Tielemans and see us win the FA Cup. That was just... I know, again, so lucky to be there, because obviously there were a lot of fans that couldn't get in to see the game that day. But when sponsors give out tickets, often they'll go to neutrals.
Exactly.
I think they were quite pleased that these tickets were actually going to genuine fans.
I unfortunately couldn't get a ticket for the FA Cup, but on the telly it did come over that way, like you say, with the fan noise. You'd have thought it was a home game, at the KP. I did manage to get to the Community Shield, but funny enough, I lived down in Bournemouth, and for many seasons I used to go with the Leicester Bournemouth, but I used to have to be in the Bournemouth end, and I'd always have my Leicester shirt on, like you say, under a zip top. And then sort of at the end, if we've won and all the Bournemouth fans have left, that's when you get brave enough to undo the zip and sort of show.
I mean, I suppose the good thing there is that there isn't, a huge rivalry between Leicester and there's not a history. There's not a geographical history between the two clubs, particularly. Although, didn't we used to play them on Boxing Day every year? I've got vague in the late 80s. I've got a vague recollection. We used to play them on Boxing Day all the time when I was a kid, and I was in the orange seats behind the. If my memory serves me right, the orange seats behind the goal. I think I remember going down to. Do you know what? It was kind of. It's mad, that period, that late 80s with David Pleat. It was crap, wasn't it? Let's face it.
It wasn't good. It wasn't the best.
But it was during that period that I'd started to realise that how much I cared about Leicester, and it was sort of a gradual. Well, Liverpool's my team. I follow Liverpool. Well, I don't follow them that much because I rarely went to Anfield. But I followed Liverpool from afar and considered myself a Liverpool fan, etc., etc. But would still go down to Leicester a lot through the 80s. And it was during that. I think it was probably 88, 89, 90. So I would have been 15, 16, 17. And then one day, I can't remember when it was. One day, I just suddenly went, I think if Leicester played Liverpool, I'd want Leicester to win. And I realised that organically, I had been swept along by watching this garbage, but somehow it was my garbage. This is I'm Leicester born and bred, and I wish there were photos of me as a kid wearing Leicester replica shirts, and there isn't. It's just in Liverpool, and then. If I ever put anything on social media, go, oh, what kind of Leicester fan are you then? And then you have to, you sort of tell them the story. But do you know what? I'm glad that my dad, God rest his soul, that he didn't kind of say you will support this, you will. He took me down the Tigers to see if I liked that, and not Matt. He was all right. He tried to. I played rugby, I played cricket, I played football. Rugby was a bit too dangerous for me, but he would try these things, see what I liked, see what I enjoyed. And the Leicester thing was very gradual. And I say to my nephew now, who's 11, coming up 12. He's in the academy at Leicester. He's in the under 11s, I think it is, or under 12s, and he's a goalkeeper in the academy. And I say to him, because obviously he wants to be a player, he wants to be a footballer, he wants to be a goalkeeper, he wants to be the next Schmeichel. You know, he absolutely adores Kasper Schmeichel, and he like Danish friends and do. But he, and I always say to him, because I hope he goes on and is a goalkeeper, plays for Leicester, plays for England, etc. I say the most important thing is enjoying playing football. No pressure, no stress. But work hard at it. If you want it, work hard at it. It might work, it might not, but enjoy it. The day you stop enjoying it, and that was kind of my sort of dad's mentality for me. Try these things, see what you like, find what you like, not because some parents are very much right. You've got to do, you force you into this.
Pushy parents, as we know them.
Yeah. So my dad, bless him, he was, and again with like going into Radio Leicester on a Saturday afternoon. I only found out many, many, many years later that my parents had a conversation about it, and they were kind of cool with me going in, even at that age. They knew it was a safe environment, etc., etc. I mean, not the BBC probably necessarily wasn't that much in the 70s and 80s, but it was safe in that environment.
Yes.
My parents later revealed, I don't know, a decade or two afterwards, because I was 13, they went, "We'll give it 6 weeks before he gets bored," and I'm still getting away with
it now.
Nonsense about football now. So, but I think you've got to enjoy it. You've got whatever it is in life you do, whether it's your job or your hobby, your relationship, whatever it is, you've got to try and get that enjoyment out of it.
I wasn't a pushy parent, but I got involved. I did my FA Part 1, which is like enthusiastic dad level. But when my kids were growing up, I said to them that I got 4 kids, 2 boys, and I said to them, you go along, you're in teams, etc. But once it stops being fun, like you said, once you, and they came along and they said after a while, we don't see our mates at the Saturday, on Saturday. And then of course girls came along and it all sort of fizzled out. But at the time, I actually lived in Burnley, and I said to my eldest, who's an avid Leicester fan with me now, I went, look, you can support Leicester because your dad does. You can support Burnley, and I'll be happy with that because you were born in Burnley and they're your local team. But you're not supporting Arsenal, Tottenham, Man United, or anybody like that just because you see them on telly. But now, of course, Leicester are almost on telly as much. But as Leicester fans, and like you alluded to it earlier with the FA Cup, We've had the bad times, and this is what annoys me when you've got like Arsenal fans at the moment having a couple of bad seasons, and you think that the world has ended. They've not lived it like Leicester fans have.
Well, did you not see some of the Leicester fans on forums and social media after losing at West Ham on Monday night? There was a feeling that the world, listen, as crap as it was, and there were reasons being that players being out through injury, the sending off, etc., etc. It felt to some of the fans that the world had ended. The same at the end of last season when we didn't make top 4, and obviously 2 seasons running being sort of nailed on for it, and then it doesn't happen, and the just utter meltdown. I was disappointed we didn't make Champions League in that first season. I was disappointed we didn't make Champions League last season. But everything happens for a reason. And one of the things that I say is it's possible, had we got Champions League in that first season, with our injury crisis that we had around the time of the European Games last season, we were in a tough group. We could have got walloped by teams. We could have easily, and that could have knocked confidence in the league. We may not have gone on and won the FA Cup. So if the penance for winning the FA Cup is missing out on the Champions League 2 seasons running, I'll take that. If we finish 8th this season and win the League Cup, I will take that because that is another finishing 8th is not embarrassing. For a team like Leicester right now, even with the squad that we've got, if we have it's not. Obviously, we want to be trying to push into the top 4, but if we finish 8th and win the League Cup, then you go, well, in 6 seasons, we've won the Premier League, the FA Cup, the League Cup, the Community Shield. We've made the Champions League quarterfinals. It's looking at it from rather than a game by game perspective or a season by season, just having a little bit more context on your thoughts on the team. But there are always going to be the knee jerkers. It was crap on Monday. It was dreadful, wasn't it? Let's face it. I mean,
it was poor.
I wanted to turn the telly off. I hate doing that. When it's your own team. I thought, you know what? They've given me a lot of good times. Not as many as bad times that they've had, but they've given me some really good times. And look at how we're doing in the past. When you go, well, I know some don't like us mentioning League One and going, well, 12 years ago we're in League One. Stop going on about we're in League One. Well, we were. That's part of our history, and we need to remember that. We need to remember that it was less than 20 years ago we were in administration, and that was a horrible, horrible time. And we've got the best owners. The best owners who won't get everything right, and they do make mistakes, whether it's to travel to Wembley for the cup final or whatever it is. They will make mistakes.
Yeah.
But compared to every other owner in I would not swap our owners probably for any other owners in the world. No. We've got a stadium that we're going to add on to. We've got the most amazing training ground. We've probably got the best squad that we've ever had. We've got a fantastic manager who I know some are still not kind of sold on, but in 2.5 years he's got a 50% win record in the Premier League, and he's won us a cup, and he's given us European football 2 seasons running. But there's still some that are not quite convinced.
I do like to say that we actually won. I like to call it the English Super Cup. Others call it the Community Shield.
Yes.
To me, it's the English Super Cup. I mean, it is, and it's hard to think, like you say. Excuse me. We've sort of lived through those bad times, the wet Tuesday nights at Yeovil, as I like to call them, and it was.
Didn't we play there? Didn't we play there on a Monday?
It might have been a Monday. It's just. I'm
just being a pedant. I remember I wasn't there. I did miss that game that night. But those, going to Hereford and Hartlepool and Yeovil. No disrespect to these places. Look where Hereford are now. And all the problems that they've had. I go and. I was at Forest last night. Sorry, I was at Notts Forest last night, and I get sent to Derby as well. Yeah. And listen, I have no love for them. I have no hate for them. It's a job. I go there, but there's a little bit of friendly kind of bantery rivalry and that kind of thing. And you look that in the last I think Derby did Derby come down with us in 2004, or did they go down in 2002? I can't remember.
I remember they went down with the lowest points ever scored by a Premier League team. I just thought I'd throw that into the mix.
Yeah, well, since that 2002, whatever, they had one season in the Premier League and they got the lowest points tally of 11. That's what they've done in almost 20 years. Forest haven't been in the Premier League since 1999. They've not won a trophy in 30 years. And I look at what. And I'm only using those as they are the similar sized geographical rivals. I'm not saying we are rivals, but geographical area. So I think you can look at them, and you can maybe look at teams like Birmingham, West Brom, Wolves, etc., as being kind of rivals, and Coventry. And you look what we've done in the last 25 years: 2 League Cups, Premier League title, FA Cup. We've been in Champions League, etc., etc. And I look at how crap, basically, a lot of the Midlands has been over that period of time, and it makes you realise we're actually doing fantastically well.
The best Midlands club, really, isn't it? I mean, you look at Villa. And they've only just come back up a few seasons ago. Coventry didn't have a ground to play in for quite a few seasons. I'm not sure what's happening at Derby financially, and I'm probably not legally allowed to mention anything. But we are. But the people said this to me. They went like, Leicester are bottlers because for 2 seasons you were in that top 4 and you finished 5th. And I went, but the 5th is brilliant because I remember where we've come from. And finishing 5th for me is not the end of the world. Yes, I would have loved to have got in the Champions League, but if we got into the Champions League, I think you probably agree with me. All those fans, if we didn't make it to the quarterfinals again, we'd be saying, well, we made it to the quarterfinal, but we had a good draw last time. We're not necessarily going to get that again.
I think some fans always. I think, well, generally in life, some people are never happy. They always search. I'm a very positive person in life. I always try and get the best out of everything I do and enjoy what I do. And that sometimes the football does test your patience, whether it's on a one-off basis or whether it's seeing you lose 6 in a row under Craig Levine, I think it was. And you're just kind of going, this is, and the quality of football was just, abysmal. And Levine was, pretty dull to nice guy, but pretty dull to interview. I mean, not Claude Puel dull, but that's
we've suffered, haven't we? As Leicester fans, we have suffered.
But I look, you look back. So I look back at the time that I've been watching them. So sort of late 80s was pretty crap, and then the early 90s under Brian Little suddenly was rebooted. Martin O'Neill, the replay at Hillsborough in '97 of the League Cup final. I remember saying to this kid and his dad next to me, and I said to the kid, he must have been about 8 years old, as we beat Middlesbrough, lifted the cup. I said, "Enjoy this, soak it up. It will never get any better than this for Leicester. This is it. This is peak." 2 years later, we're back in the final. 3 years later, we win it again. And then obviously what has happened in recent years. But the administration times were awful. That mid 2000s where we had players that you go, did they play for us? I remember seeing who was it? I saw in a press room somewhere. I think it was Jason Wilcox, who obviously Blackburn, England. Where else did he play? Leeds, I think. I saw him and I was like, oh yeah, he was a good player, wasn't he? And then I just went, I think he played for Leicester. Yeah. I think he was at Leicester at one. And I had to look at it, and he played, I don't know, played 20 games or something. Yeah. And you forget how awful it was. So I always keep a lot of that stuff in mind when things don't go quite so well.
There I mentioned Dennis Wise to you.
You can mention it to him. I'm probably not legally allowed to say what I think of that.
No, I think we're all the same, aren't we?
Yeah,
the first time Jerry Taggart not too long ago, and there's a video of Jerry Taggart when I think he went to Stoke afterwards, actually strangling Dennis Wise on the pitch. Was it like, apparently the Leicester team were travelling home on the coach after a game, and they were all cheering when that happened.
Yeah, Dennis Wise, not only was he crap as a player for Leicester, and very disappointing, and smashing Callum Davidson's cheekbone, just going in and doing that to somebody. I mean, just hitting somebody anyway is wrong, but just going in someone who's asleep and doing it, and then getting sacked, which was quite right, and then winning the appeal on a technicality, and then not accepting. And this is when people kind of go, oh yeah, but you cheated all those companies out of money when you went into administration. The club or the administrator, they'd sorted a package where people would get an amount of money, not everything, but get something, which is good. Dennis Wise and his agent were not interested. Leicester went into administration. A lot of people, they don't necessarily know about that. And my first experience with Dennis Wise was at the training ground ahead of a game, and he was doing a radio interview, and I was just a little bit late getting into the huddle with everybody else. So by the time that, I don't know, one or two other radio stations had their questions, so then I asked a question, and he was just rude. He was just, he said, well, I've already been asked that and I've already answered it. And I was just like, I've turned up late, right? There's no need to be an absolute arse about it. And I asked something, and there's no need for it. He could have said, well, I have already been asked that, but basically what I said was, and you're just polite. He just wasn't well liked at Leicester. And I said I wasn't going to talk about him, but I've got.
But at that time,
you go in room 101. That's fine.
Exactly. But at that time, Leicester, we were almost like the Derby and Jones club for ex-Premier League players who wanted one last payday, and they're all sort of. Maybe Les Ferdinand was a little bit different, and I certainly don't.
What a guy! What a bloke, Les Ferdinand.
Yeah. But we did seem to be getting all those that couldn't get, games in the Premier League anymore. Yeah,
I mean, there were obviously Martin Keown, Craig Hignett. There were a few. I can understand what Mickey Adams was trying to do, because he didn't have a massive budget. There wasn't because obviously they'd come out of administration and got promoted back to the Premier League. So I can understand at that period why he wanted players with experience to come in to try and keep them up, and then hopefully you get the finance from another season. So then maybe you can look for that exciting younger talent from the next, say, division down. Although we saw with Peter Taylor, again, whose name should not be too mentioned, is that he was just right. I'll get rid of all the old guard and I'll bring in all these young, exciting new players, Lee Marshall and Akinbaye, and of course the world famous Junior Lewis, who had one of the best full debuts that I have ever seen from a Leicester player against Chelsea. I think he came off the bench at Southampton, and then he started against Chelsea. He was threading through balls in between the Chelsea defenders. I think it was probably maybe Desailly and Leboeuf, and he looked like Zidane. He was just amazing. And then I remember flying to America the next day, and my mate Dave from Hinckley, who lives over there now, and they didn't have the TV coverage then, and he'd been listening on the radio, and I flew out and I went, this guy, we've got him for like 15 grand from Gillingham or something. This guy, how have we signed him? He was just awesome honestly, he was great. And then obviously it all went downhill. So the older fans have sat through so much. So that the kids, as I call them, so like my nephew who's 11 coming up 12, he doesn't really know a time before we won the championship and had the great escape season and saw us win the Premier League and Champions League quarterfinals and 2 fifth-place finishes and an FA Cup and a Community. That's his watching Leicester experience. And there are going to be people, just like on the reverse, say with Forest, there's people who, most probably, if you're under 40 years old, which most, I would imagine probably a lot of the fans are, they won't remember the glory years of what Forest did when, they had a brilliant time. They had a brilliant manager and everything came together, and they did, their story is amazing. What happened coming out of Division 2, winning Division 1, winning the European Cup again. That is an incredible story. That really is. But that they weren't around for all that, but it's kind of, with famous Forest, we've done all this and that kind of thing. But they've not been in the top division for 22 years. So like the reverse at Leicester, the young people, all they've seen pretty much is success. And they've not had the indoctrination of the misery that the absolute garbage that we've watched, the players that look like they've won a competition to pull on the Leicester shirt. How the...
I'm feeling your pain here. It's good to talk.
So it's it's kind of like therapy. So with what we've seen over the past few years, notwithstanding obviously the awful scenes, the tragedy in 2018, but on the field, how we've risen from even being like the SAS when we went down to Division 3, get out straight away, win the title. Playoffs, Deeney Day, Big Nige returns, win the championship, 100 points, great escape, blah, blah, blah. The last decade, sort of on the field, we've seen a real wonderful rise. And off the field, the club is in, and as I said, the owners, Vichai before and now Top, they are just
I always say if Carlsberg did football owners, they would be those owners. 100%. And so many, and I do obviously when I do these shows and I talk and mix with other podcasters from other clubs, and they're all jealous of the way we are run, the way we do our transfer business. The fact that we bring these players in at 20-30 million and sell them for 70-80 million, but Leicester over the years, like I say, I can remember the big match when we were in the third tier was Leicester City versus Manchester City, and look where we both are now. It's times do play with your memory, but we've had 3.
We didn't play them in Division 3, did we?
Yeah, Manchester City. Yeah.
No, that Manchester City got promotion from Division 3 in 99.
I'm sure.
99 2000. They won the that was that Paul Dickoff scoring. They were 2-0 down against Gillingham. I think it was Tony Pulis' Gillingham, and they went on to win in extra time. So we didn't. So by 2009, Manchester City were established back in the Premier League by then. I think it was probably Leicester Peterborough was probably the big game in the.
I've always thought I far be it from me to disagree with you, but I honestly thought that we played them in the third tier.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that they were established with. I imagine was Sven was probably in charge of Manchester City by then, so they would have been in. They would have been back in the Premier League. You're just looking up, aren't you?
You can tell. No, you've got me, because I've been quoting that for I don't know how many years. And
nobody's picked you up on it.
Nobody's ever picked me up on it.
Sorry, I don't want to be. I don't want to be that guy, Chris. I'm really. No, we didn't play Man City.
When were we in? When were we in the third tier?
So 2008-9, wasn't it?
2008-9. Let's have a look. No, I have to be honest with you. I think you're right.
Chris, I know I'm right on this. I'm not right on many things very often, and I'm usually wrong, and not only wrong, but way out. But actually, on this one, we didn't play Manchester City in Division 3.
I can't find it. I have to be honest with you.
Take my word for it. Take my word for it on this one.
I'll have to rewrite all my notes now every time I speak to a Man City fan. You know, I've even spoken to Man City fans who haven't argued with me about it. You know,
yeah, that was the decade before 99, when they had the playoff final and Paul Dickoff famously scored in time. And so that was Division 3, and I think they'd gone up to the. So in the Championship, they went up to the top division. I think they came down again, and then they went back up again. And I mean, I generally find Man City fans are of the big clubs. The majority of Manchester City fans have that sense of we knew where we were 20 years ago.
Yes,
we were in Division 3. We were, a bit of a mess. We were a bit of a banter club. And okay, they've had all the oil money put in, which is, some people can argue that how ethical elements of it are, but that's not the fans' fault. But like the proper Man City fans that I know, they will go, "Oh God, we had some crap nights at Oxford or wherever it was," and they remember what it was like. So the fans of the, of your Tottenhams, your Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, Liverpool, they don't have the same sense. But I think Man City fans, the slightly older ones, they've been through the mill. But then again, Tottenham have only won 2 League Cups in nearly 30 years, so they're not exactly,
Huddersfield have actually won more top league titles than Tottenham Hotspur have.
Well, I love that stat that said the last time Tottenham won the top division was 1961, which is nearer to the Victorian era than it is to now. And you kind of go, that's quite. But then again, I saw something this week. They said 1980, which is I was a 7-year-old kid, but I remember it. Yeah. It was nearer to the Second World War than it is now, and I'm like, that disturbs me greatly. That does.
Oh, I don't. You're making me feel really old.
And you go, that can't be true. And then you look at it up and you go, God, it is true. God, my hair's gone, But
hey, why do you think I'm wearing a hat? I'm not as brave as you. We've had 3 what I would call, recent really, really glory years. You've had to say the O'Neill years when we were like, my God, is this really happening to us? Premier League, top 10 finishes, or 3 cup finals, like you say, in 4 seasons, winning 3. Then Ranieri came along, who I must admit I was one of the few that was actually thinking he'll do us all right, actually, and I've kept the link to that in case anybody ever questions me. And of course now we've got the Rodgers years, so it's 3. I mean, would O'Neill and Ranieri as good as it was now, or better? Would you say, or just different?
It's kind of different because with what Martin O'Neill did for those 4 top 10, for us to have 4 top 10 finishes, and 3 League Cup finals and win 2 of them. That would, on the back of, I mean, I love Brian Little. I've got a lot of time for Brian Little. He was there at Leicester when I started at Radio Leicester, and he just, and he's a lovely man. I know people still go, yeah, but he left us for Villa and it was all this, and people don't always know the full story, and he got a bit shafted by it. And Brian is, you are not going to find many nicer, kinder people in football than Brian. And anyone who has met him and knows him will definitely back me up on that. So that was a good period under Brian. That's sort of the key to start the engine. And then there was Martin O'Neill, who then took the car further forward. Because it was on the back of, we hadn't really done a lot for a while. So it was, and as I mentioned, I'd said to that kid, this is the best it's going to get. That period under O'Neill was amazing. Top 10 finishes. We were causing problems for the big boys. There was never any thought in our minds that we were going to push on and be top 4 or anything like that. But it was great. At that time, it was great. And then obviously things sort of went downhill, and there was the administration. And again, Nigel Pearson with the reboot when we were at our lowest level. And obviously nobody expected what happened in 15-16 that was going to happen. So that was just the greatest moment. There is nothing. If we win the Premier League 10 times in a row, it won't match that season. Nothing will ever match that. The craziness and amazingness of that season. Even if we won the Champions League, for me, okay, you could argue it's a better achievement than winning the Premier League, but for me, winning what we did in that season from where we were the year before, that is our greatest achievement. We will never, ever, I cannot think of anything that will top that. So now you've got a different scenario. So we're now kind of expected to be in the top 10 in the Premier League. And, Brendan Rodgers is doing a fantastic job for us. And I hope that he stays for, as long as he wants, pretty much, because I think he and Leicester are a very good fit. And I know you get those fans who are, often the never happy fans saying, well, we need to go to the next level. Well, what is the next level for Leicester? Well, I think the next level for Leicester is if we're in and around the top 6 for the next decade, that's fantastic. That is incredible. That is brilliant. I don't see us winning the title again, but you never know. We could easily win an FA Cup or a League Cup or have a good run in a European competition. And it's for me, it's not always necessarily about league position. Yeah, we could have finished 4th. We finished 5th. After that final day against Spurs, I was at Arsenal that day. I was driving back, and I was just like, I just turned off the radio. I don't want to listen to it. Put some music on. I was kind of, we absolutely messed up on that afternoon where we should have got in the top 4. But then I kept thinking, I was at Wembley, a couple of weeks before, and I saw us winning the FA Cup. We won the FA Cup. I saw us win the FA Cup 2 or 3 weeks before. And to me, I've not, since that day, or since the following day, I've watched Tielemans' goal pretty much every day since. Not because it's a worldie, but because how important it was. I've watched it, and I watch it, and I go, that really happened. We won. That was amazing. I've not once really thought in that period, I'm still gutted we didn't make top 4. Oh, God, it's really hurting me we didn't make top 4. I've kind of parked it and gone, listen, we finished 5th. We finished 5th 2 years running. That's amazing. It should have been better. Should have finished top 4.
It's unbelievable. I don't think, sometimes I do wonder where pinching yourself actually turns into self-harm. But I've got to say, just going back to the 15-16, because we can't, I do like still to talk about it. And I mean,
we all do.
Yeah, I mean, I live down here in Bournemouth, and we were everybody's favourite second team. I walked around with my jacket on with just a Leicester badge on, and everybody was talking to me. I think Bournemouth were generally a little bit annoyed because they'd had an amazing journey from 10 years ago when I first moved down here, collecting, holding buckets outside the.
They almost went out of business, didn't they? I mean, they had points deductions. They went down to Division 4. Eddie Howe, what he did at that football club was just. If you look into that story, it's astonishing.
Yeah, I don't think they got the credit they deserve because it was outshone by us winning the Premier League, having only just
and rightly so as well. But
season before. But yeah.
that was a great. Honestly, what Bournemouth did. I know they've had some in more recent years. They've had some more finance, shall we say, into the football club. But from where they were, that the hours going out of business, staying up dramatically in the football league, and Eddie Howe just completely revitalised them. That was a great story. But that season, 15-16, you look back and you go, well, when did you think they were going to win it? And I said, well, probably just as the referee blew his whistle in that Tottenham-Chelsea game. That was because I kept thinking at some point, this is Leicester. I've watched Leicester at some point, it's not going to happen. And you kind of think, oh, we might have a chance here. And the pressure, trying to enjoy those wins towards it. Oh, God, and then trying to be a reporter and having to be neutral. And it was so stomach churning at the time. And it was only when that whistle blew at that moment, I thought, we've gone and done it. And then it was the singing, and then it was the tears, and then it was the drink, and then it was the all the nonsense from.
Talking of tears, and I'm a bit worried about saying this now, having got my facts wrong earlier. But were you not in tears on talkSPORT talking about it, or again, is that something that I am imagining? I can't remember. I might have been.
You
were very. I thought you were very emotional when you were being interviewed.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been emotional. But actually, the next morning, I ended up going out afterwards, and I think we're in Republic in town, and Robert Huth was handing out shots, and I was like, "What have I?" I was chatting with Liam Moore, who knew quite well, and it's like handing out. So Robert Huth doesn't know me from the next person, but he was just handing out. And I got back home. It must have been about 4 or 5 in the morning, and I get a beep on my phone saying, "Would you like to come on the breakfast show?" I said, "Well, I've not been to bed yet. It's been one of those nights." And I think I don't know. I don't think I got in. I definitely was in tears at times on talkSPORT during the couple of days or so after the helicopter crash. That was I found that incredibly emotional and very hard to deal with and process, and try and then broadcast as well, which was very hard. But I remember I after we won the FA Cup, we ended up having a few drinks. The train journey back that night was just brilliant. I mean, social distancing went out the window, and I walked up and down the train. I said to my best mate, I said, "I'm just going to go for a walk down the train and come back." And honestly, it was just all Leicester fans. I just kept getting stopped, and it's weird because some people know who I am, and I don't understand why people know who I am, because I'm nobody. I'm just a very low level, bottom rung of the ladder. But some people obviously follow me on Twitter or see what I look like and know what I look like, and they'll stop you and chat. And I met some of the most amazing people. And the next day, photos were appearing on social media, and I went on talkSPORT that night. Obviously, a little bit worse for wear. And then we got back on it on the Sunday night as well. And I was on the breakfast show on the Monday morning with Laura Woods and Ali McCoist. And we're listening back to it, and they went, "Oh, Geoff's had a great weekend, big Leicester fan." And it was like, "How are you feeling?" And I was like, "Morning, yeah, great." they were killing themselves. My voice was, I had about 4 hours sleep, I think, and I was about.
I used to, I don't know if it was a while ago, the sports bar with, of course, Andy Goldstein's moved on now, but Andy and Jason, and they used to have sort of fans on every week. On a Friday night before the weekend's games, and I used to, that season, obviously I was on quite a bit because Leicester were doing quite well, so I used to be the Leicester guy that went on that, and I went on that night, and I've got to be honest with you, normally if I'm doing talkSPORT, I'm very professional and get everything. I was drunk. I've got to be honest with
Fantastic.
you. I was on the radio. Yeah, it's great. I was absolutely, totally gone. But hey, it doesn't happen to sort of Leicester very often. But
you know what? If you can't enjoy those moments. You can't celebrate. I mean, I'm not talking about going mad and sticking a firework up your backside and doing all that nonsense with, and I'm not talking
that's
about
how you want to celebrate, Geoff, far be it from me.
Not for me. It's not. I have a few drinks, but I'm not going to get into a fight about it. I mean, I don't understand why people fight anyway. I don't understand why people want to fight because someone supports a different football team. I don't see any sense or any logic in that. That's just me. But you want to enjoy it. And like last season, what a season we had! What a season! We won the FA Cup. We actually won the FA Cup for the first time. What a season! People go, but we messed up. Yeah, we messed up champions. We're bottlers. We're chokers. We're failures. And I'm just like, they're not my kind of people. But I appreciate there are, a fair few in the fan base who are just, negative.
In fact, you're also Geoff Peters, Mr. Leicester City of talkSPORT. I said that you're well known. You are well known, despite you saying what you were saying. But look, we've won the Community Shield twice now. We've won the FA Cup. We've won the League Cup a few times. We've won the FA Cup. I mean, we've got, as James said here earlier, we've got to go for Europe now, haven't we? Can we do something in Europe this year? It was disappointing last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that with the injuries that we had, I think we did really well to win the group. I know people going, but the opposition was just crap and we were playing championship level opposition. Give the competition a bit more respect. Come on. We finished top of the group. And if you'd said, right, we're going to have all these injuries, you're going to be missing the back five or four of the back five or whatever, or four of the best defensive players, we're going to win the group. You take that every day of the week. Fantastic. Yeah, we didn't turn up home or away against Slavia. Really disappointing over the two legs. They did a job on us. But, we can learn. I mean, Brendan's record in Europe isn't great. He's won, he's done a lot of fantastic things in football. He got Swansea promoted, kept them in the Premier League. He got Liverpool to within a hair's breadth of winning the Premier League, which for some people will go, well, that's not enough. But from where they were to where he took them, he did terrifically well there. Celtic, he won every domestic trophy that was available to him. He's led Leicester to 2 fifth-place finishes and an FA Cup. And I sometimes think, what do football fans of various clubs actually want? What is considered success? So if we finish 6th this season, is that failure and not win a trophy? Well, it is compared to the previous season when we won a cup and finished 5th, but it's not actually failure. And those words get bandied around: bottlers, chokers, failures, underachievers, whatever. It's not all about that. Spurs, we kind of have a bit of a laugh about Spurs and finishing 3rd in a 2-horse race, etc., etc. We finished 5th in a 4-horse race and what have you. They had a great ride under Pochettino. They played some brilliant football. They were wonderful to watch at times. They played some great football. They got to a Champions League final, which is, even for a big club like Spurs, that's a terrific achievement. But they didn't revitalise. Re-energize the squad, which we seem quite good at. Sell one player, bring in 4 or 5 new ones. We seem very, very good at doing that. So, what is success? What is failure? For different people, it's different things. It's like Iosi Perez. Let's take Iosi Perez, for example, because he is probably one of the most dividing people in the fan base. I don't think
I can hear the groans coming out of Leicester when you said his name.
Well, what I would say is I don't think he is as bad as a lot of fans think he is, but equally I don't think he's as good as Brendan Rodgers thinks he is.
Yes.
But anyway, but going back to the Europe question, I think we can give it a go this year. I wouldn't want to put all the eggs in that basket.
No.
Because you can easily have one bad night, concede a goal, go out on penalties, whatever, things can happen. But I would like us to go as deep as we can in the Europa League. If we don't win the Europa League, if we get to the quarterfinals and finish 7th in the Premier League, maybe quarterfinals in FA Cup, League Cup, whatever, it's not a bad season. It's not an amazing season, but it's part of the progress and it's part of the journey. And but everything now, it's all the words. It's the angry words. It is the bottler's word. It is the
People want us to finish top 4, but to be top 4, you've got to look at Man City, Chelsea, Man United, or Liverpool dropping out.
Yeah,
and
it's hard to see. It's hard to see any of those dropping out. To be fair, with their squads and what have you.
Yeah, I mean, JB says here, I believe we can't finish it lower than below 6, or big players will leave. You see, I get this, but because people used to say, if we don't finish in the Champions League spaces, we're not going to get the players in. And yet we've got Samari in and Daka, who had come from teams that in their own way had qualified for Champions League in some form, still came to us. I just think if we finished 15th, 16th, then maybe. But
that's slightly different if that happens. But Tottenham finished 7th? Did they finish 7th? And they've kept hold of Harry Kane and Heung-min Son. So it's very easy to go, well, if we don't get top 4, then we won't be able to get this player, or we won't be able to hold on to that player. But we are a club whether is there a natural cycle of sales of players. And our model is not going out and spending 80 million, 100 million on players. So the way we do things is slightly different to some of the proper elite clubs, the rich 6, I would say, rather than the big 6. Yeah. And it is hard to compete with them on a financial basis, but if we can keep giving them a bloody nose every now and again, and if we finish in the top 7, top 8 for the next 10 years in various positions, maybe 4th or 7th or whatever, and have good runs in the cups, this is the greatest period in Leicester City's 100 and how many? 100? When do we say 18?
I was dreading to ask me, but we'll say 100 plus.
Yeah, 130, 140 years. This is the greatest period. We are living through the greatest period. You could say over the last 25 years, but certainly in the last sort of 5 or 6 years, it is. We will look back, at some point, probably when things go a bit pear-shaped in however many years' time, we're back in the Championship. I hope it doesn't happen, but you never know. This is Leicester. These things can happen.
Exactly.
We'll look back on this period, and my worry is that people won't have enjoyed it enough because they'll have been constantly going, what's next? What's next? Where we got to get to next? Where we got to get to next? Enjoy it. Because one day, because Forest fans must have thought that their good times would last forever. And they've been, arguably irrelevant for 20 years. They've kind of done nothing. It's just been a nothingness for them. Nothing has really happened.
No.
So my advice to fans is, enjoy.
It's a bit like Arsenal, I think, where they weren't happy. They were finishing in the top 4 every season, getting Europe for 20 odd years, weren't happy, and now they're not happy because they're not getting what they were getting when they weren't happy.
I think this is the first time in the modern era tonight that Arsenal are in the second round of the League Cup. I don't know when it started, but it was the teams in Europe beginning the third round. So it probably wasn't that many years ago. So I don't know, maybe 15 years or something. But Arsenal not being. Oh no, hang on. Where did they finish last year? So we finished 5th, West Ham 6th. So Spurs were. So Arsenal
were out of it last year as well, I think, weren't they?
No, they were in the Europa League last year because they played Slavia.
Yes, they did.
Slavia knocked out Rangers, and then they played Arsenal. So we're in Europe. Arsenal are not. We finished above Arsenal and Spurs. Hang on, we might not. We might have been chokers again, but we finished above 2 massive football teams, 2 very teams with a lot of financial clout and history.
There was 15 other clubs in that league that would love to have swapped places with us.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. We were the 5th best team. You could argue, were we even better than that because we won an FA Cup? Who were the best team? Were Chelsea the best team last year because they won the Champions League? Or do you say Man City were because they won the Premier League? Man United finished 2nd, but they didn't win a trophy. So is our achievement of 5th in an FA Cup better than that? But everything is, who's better? What achievement is better? Was them doing this better than that? Was X player better than Y player? At the end of the day, you look at. So I look at sort of my sort of all-time Leicester hero, Steve Walsh. You know, all those years, heart on his sleeve, warrior. What a guy! Love Walshy.
Yeah.
But now Jamie Vardy's come along, and I'm totally on the Jamie Vardy fan bus. I mean, obviously, you know, Mark Albrighton, as we know, is the GOAT, and we all dream of a team of Mark Albrightons, which doesn't scan as well as Barry Hales. But, you know, for me, Vardy now has overtaken Steve Walsh. And I'll always love Steve Walsh because just for so many things that he was the lion-hearted warrior. Yeah. But Vardy, what he's done, the story, the guy's amazing. He is amazing, and he's going to play for us when he's 50, and he's still going to be scoring goals when he's 50. He's coming off the bench. He's going to be running at defenders. He's going to be outpacing players who are 25 years younger than him, and he's still going to be a goal threat because he's a freak of nature. He's the most brilliant freak of nature. But who was better? Who was better, Elliott or Taggart? Well, they were both great, but they're in different ways. So, but people do like everything's got to be comparison. Which team? Is Leicester's team now better than the title-winning team? Well, the squad is stronger than it was then, but there was those elements that all fell into place that season, and there was the 11 immortal. Well, there were more than that, but there was the 11 that played the majority of the games, and then there was the supporting cast: your Ajoas, your Kings, your Nathan Dyers, Grays, etc., Richie Delat. You know, what is better? Well, they're just different. You know, they're different, and we've had some great times, and we haven't even talked about Nigel Pearson, who I
was just getting ready to ask you about Nigel Pearson and say, does he get the credit I think he deserves for exactly? Yeah, 100%.
My take on Nigel Pearson, he took over, notwithstanding that he's been largely crap everywhere else that he's gone, right? And he's not had particularly great achievements anywhere else. He's done okay in a couple of things. Yeah. For us, he took over at our lowest point when we were in Division 3. Yeah. He re-energized completely the club with the sports science and the stuff behind the scenes, and so in his first 2 years, so he won Division 3 and he got us into the playoffs, and we were Kermagan, Panenka, potentially, I know Waghorn missed as well, but from getting to him, how things might have changed. Yeah, then we might not have gone on and won the Premier League. If we'd won promotion that season, who knows what would the sliding doors moments. Yeah. Nigel comes back. Weeds out the crap and builds a team, builds a squad, builds a mentality, builds a strong dressing room, and says to half a dozen players in the dressing room, right, you run that, you organise it. Any problems, come to me. I'm the boss, but you sort of organise it. Yeah. And that's what good leaders do. And then obviously Deeney Day, which I think the Deeney Day is amazing theatre. I know some fans go, I can't watch it. I still can't watch it. For me, I'm happy to watch it because however low you felt that day, it's been part of the journey to where we got to. We may,
the fact that we went on the season after that, when it could have all crumbled, a lot of clubs would have got rid of the manager. We didn't. We stuck with Nigel. And we broke virtually every club record going in getting promotion as champions.
102 points. I think we were unbeaten for, 20-odd games, with most away wins. Or that season, we forget, actually, as Leicester fans, because we've had, obviously, the title and the FA Cup and what have you. You forget that season was brilliant. That championship winning season was bloody brilliant. It was it was fabulous. It really was. And because we've kind of kicked on from there, you sort of forget about it a bit. So obviously, he was getting these players in. Premier League season obviously was tough. We were hanging in games. We weren't getting battered. Nigel didn't quite have the nous at that level. Because it was his first season at that level. So you kind of go, well, he's not an experienced Premier League manager. It was tough. And obviously they turned it round at the end. And the players, you talk to the players of that era, generation, and 95% of them absolutely love Nigel Pearson. I'm not saying they just go, yeah, I like working for him. They go, he was amazing. Even Casper now, they love Nigel Pearson. So my take on Pearson is, it doesn't matter if he's crap anywhere else. He was amazing for us. He did brilliant stuff for us. We would not have won the Premier League if Nigel Pearson had still been in charge. We would not have won the Premier League. However, we would not have won the Premier League had it not been for what Nigel had built. It's not that Nigel was more important than Claudio. Nigel built those foundations, and he built those the brilliant mentality in the squad. It needed somebody else to do the next bit. And Claudio, it was brilliant what he did. Okay, he lost the plot in the following season. It was very sad to see that happen. But it just, that one, everything came together. The lack of injuries, it was just all the elements into a bowl, and it just, you put it in the oven and out came the most delicious thing ever. So I love Nigel Pearson. Got a lot of time for him. Got on very well with him. He could be difficult, he could be prickly, he could be spiky, but he's a good guy, and I've seen him since. Even after, when he was at Watford, they just thrown away a 2-goal lead, lost 3-2 to a last-minute goal. He's walking to do his TV interviews, and I'm in the radio booth area, Watford against Everton, I think it was. So he's going to be pretty naffed off with how the game had gone. So he's walking to the TVs, and he sees me, we make eye contact, and I thought he might just say, "Oh, I'll see you when I've done telly," and whatever. He came over and he's like, "Hey, up, lad." And that's what he says. "Lad, how are you?" And he got a big smile, and nice to see you, Nigel. Yeah, sorry about that, result today and whatever. So you well, family well? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, hang on, there's TV companies around the world waiting for him to do his. He's not how some people perceive.
He's not the ostrich manager that a lot of people.
No, so listen, I've got a lot of time for now. We wouldn't have won the Premier League with him, but we wouldn't have won it without him. That's
exactly. The foundations were put in place. I can remember in a couple of seasons before we came up to the Premier League. Again, it was a Bournemouth, and I was actually sat. I never know how I got these tickets, because I went onto the Bournemouth website with my email of lcfc.com and actually got to get some tickets. But I sat just behind the dugout with my son, and at full time we'd gone down to applaud the players off and open the shirts and got the Leicester shirts underneath. And again, like you said, Sky were calling him. We went, just a moment, and he was talking away to us. And my son will always remember that, But I'm conscious of the time, and thank you for everything you do. But just quickly, where can this Leicester team go? I mean, like you say, Vardy. I mean, has he got another full season in him, or are we going to see him more as a super sub eventually? Of
course he has. Of course he has. I mean, he won't necessarily play every single game, and you've got Daka coming through, and Daka, the new Vardy, etc., etc. And he's hopefully going to learn from the best. Vardy's around for a while, absolutely. Just a inspiration. He's great, Vardy. Got so much time for him. Where can we go with this team? As I said, if we're sort of in and around the top 6, 7, 8 over the next decade, we are doing brilliantly. We are doing fantastically well. You kind of go, well, I doubt we'll win the Premier League again, because the other teams will just buy big and they've got that spending power. We will do what we do: sell players, buy players, sell players, revitalise the squad. Hopefully, we pick decent managers. Once Brendan Rodgers moves on for whatever reason, as he will at some point, but he can build a dynasty at Leicester. He could be in charge for 5, 6. I mean, he's been in charge for 2.5 years. That's quite a long time for him,
hasn't it?
Yeah, and he's been brilliant, and I think he's a good fit for us. He likes bringing through the young players. He gets things wrong sometimes, and people will say, well, he keeps picking Perez. Of course, he's getting the same thing wrong, but he obviously sees something in him that he does in the game that he likes, and Rodgers' results, are great. If you, I mean,
the book stops with him, as they say, doesn't it?
Yeah. So, at some point, you look at the goalkeeping situation with Schmeichel. How many more years is he going to go on for? I mean, but we're looking so far down the line. This season, I want us to keep disrupting the top 6, and getting some fantastic results that we like last season. We were much better against the top six or rich six last season. So we'd improved on that. So I hope we can improve on what we do in the Europa League. And it's just seeing bits of progress here and there. It might not be a top six finish. It might not be that we win a trophy. But you can still make progress in other ways as a football club. And it's just an exciting time to be alive as a Leicester fan.
Oh, isn't it? Like I said before, I mean, I never thought that I would be watching my team win an FA Cup final with my son, and at the end of the game, hugging each other, both of us tears running down our cheek. This is Leicester. It doesn't happen, but it is an amazing time. Brighton obviously just signed a new contract. Like you said before, the GOAT, he seems to go on and on forever. We do need a right winger, though, don't we?
Yeah, I think before the window closes, I know saying, well, we need to sign a defender now because, there's Vestergaard and then there's Evans and there's Farner and, Justin and what have you. But it's all very well signing players, but you've got certain squads. And in those squads for domestic and for the Europe, there are certain other criteria. Some have got to be home. Some have got to be, club trained. There are going to be players who are not going to be able to get in that squad. There might be a Dennis Pratt. You might say he's not going to get in the Premier League 25, or he's not going to get in the European because they have to satisfy certain criteria. So it's all very well just going, right, we'll go out and get this player and that kind of, because then you've still got to tick every box with all the squads with what you've got to do. So I would like to see a left-footed right winger, a much better version of Cengiz Under, for example. Who was okay, but just couldn't do other bits in the game. He wasn't quite right. It'd be nice if we could get somebody. I guess they'll be on loan unless they can, shift maybe Chowdhury, Pratt, and then they might be able to do a deal. So it might be a loan. But if we can get the lad from PSV.
What's his name? I think he just signed a new contract, though, hasn't he? So that might have to be a loan or a big transfer fee. I dare say, only just.
Well, they've not made the Champions League, so we might be able to get him a bit cheaper. So that's a possibility.
Yeah.
People want to come and sign for Leicester because they get the wages that Leicester pay are decent. Okay, they're not Man City, Man United, Liverpool decent, but they are still decent. They know they're going to get a chance. Young players get a chance. They know it's a well-run club. We're in such great. We are in great shape. Yeah, Monday night was garbage, but that was just one game, and it happens. And I think I can't believe what I'm seeing.
2 games in, and we're still on the same number of points as Man City. So let's not start crying too soon. But Geoff, it's been brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on. I could still be here at midnight tonight talking Leicester with you. Once I get going, it's hard to stop me. But it's been brilliant having you on. Thank you so much. All the best to you and your family. Stay safe, and it's always nice to hear your voice on talkSPORT.
Top man. Cheers, Chris. All the best, my friend.
Take care. Thank you so much.
The City. Oh, come on, you Foxes.
Come on, you Foxes. Exactly, mate. Thanks very much. Take care, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Thank you so much to Geoff Peters there. What a great guy. His love for Leicester, you can see, comes through. Catch him on talkSPORT. He does various different shows and reports. And yeah, he's a Leicester fan. That makes him all right in my book. Thanks very much for watching, guys. We're going to be back at 9:30, so in about an hour and 10 minutes with Melina, the Arsenal fan, Brad, my fellow presenter here, and we're going to be doing score predictions for the upcoming weekend. So can Leicester get back to winning ways? Yeah, we know you can. We know we can. Bronze, thanks very much, mate, for that. And David, great one, Chris. Thanks for that hour plus. I know, but the thing is, like I say, once we start talking Leicester, I just want to go on. And I could still be talking to the guy, Geoff, in 2 hours' time. He is wonderful. No, it was great to come on. Appreciate him doing that. Going to see you, like I say, please, in an hour and a half. And it's myself, Brad, Melina, who's joining us as the guest this week as an Arsenal fan. And we will be trying to predict the scores. better than we've done for the first 2 weeks, hopefully. Take care, guys, and I'll see you in a bit.
Hello,
Stay
Matt
safe.
Elliott here. Be sure to watch Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and follow all them social media platforms for all the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.
Come to an end. But the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like, share, and get involved. Join us next time.